bed. But what are your thoughts when you hear me say the purpose of dating is not marriage? What do you think?
I can see where there's some validity to that because no, I can't. I can't. I can't. I can't see it at all. I'm not gonna date somebody if I'm not gonna potentially marry them.
Why not? Hey, welcome back to the Dating Detox Show. I am your co-host, Eric Wooten, and with me, I have Autumn.
Hey, y'all.
How
Welcome
you
back. I'm good.
Good.
Yep.
Guess what we're going to talk about today? The purpose of dating. Can't have a dating show without talking about the purpose of dating.
Yeah, the why.
The why. Why do people date?
Why?
Is there a purpose behind our dating? So what are, from your perspective, I've been out of the dating game a couple decades. Why are people dating?
Okay, well, I will tell you why I've dated.
Okay.
I've dated because I was looking for my husband.
Okay.
That's
You're
it.
dating to get married.
Dating for a purpose for marriage.
Yeah.
So it wasn't even like dating to date. It was like, I'm going to date because I'm looking for a husband.
But I'm sure you have some friends that don't really want to be married. So what are they dating for? Not everybody's dating to get married.
Well, I think it just depends. A lot of my friends are dating for the intent to be married.
Okay.
But I do know that some dating is just the hookup culture.
Yeah.
Just to date, get your Tenderoni or a weekend hookup. I mean, that's real.
Yeah.
Or just to get a free meal.
Okay, ladies. Yeah, right.
Or like you're just kind of lonely or bored.
Yeah.
The holiday season, you want to just go look at Christmas lights. I mean, I can honestly admit I've even considered, should I re-download the app just so I can go look at Christmas lights with somebody? I'm not going to do it, but I thought about it.
You could just put that on there. Say, simply looking for a Christmas light buddy.
Okay, don't encourage me.
I'm just saying.
I mean, I think it's usually the holiday season, people don't want to be alone. Like we're naturally wanting to be with people. Look at 2020, we got isolated and everybody lost their minds because they were so alone, right? So I think dating can be for just fun, casual. I don't know a lot of people in my realm of friends that just do casual dating.
Mm-hmm.
But I know it's a thing, and I know it's more of a worldly thing, just to date, like serial dating. But sometimes you have to date through a bunch of people just to get to your husband too. I have a girlfriend who went on a ton of dates, and it wasn't like she was, being like trashy with it. She just knew what she was looking for, and she was looking for her husband.
Right.
So,
but then my question would be, she's never been married.
No, she had been married.
Oh, she had been married.
So she knew exactly.
No. Okay, so that's another good question. So she had been married and it didn't work out.
No.
So I would say to her, if she was sitting here with me instead of you, what I would say to her is, I don't know that you know what you should have or need in a husband. All that I know that you know is what you don't want.
True.
Right?
That's true.
So.
She's married now.
Again.
So she figured it out.
Again, though. So she's figured out the getting married part.
Yeah.
Has she figured out the staying married part?
I think that's the process, right?
And so then, this is not the point of this show, but since we're there.
Yeah.
In the dating process.
Yes.
Do you think the second time around she did it well? Did she have outside counsel? Did they do
much
premarital counseling?
180.
While
and I was
dating?
her friend.
Okay.
So it's so much better.
So you feel better about this one. Did they do premarital counseling before they got engaged or after they got engaged?
They did premarital before they got engaged.
Awesome.
Individually
it's so much or class?
So they both did their own separate counseling.
Okay.
They had their own counseling.
That's fine.
And then they did premarital.
With a counselor together.
Well, yeah, through a church.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Good for them.
No, it's
Okay,
really
so
good. And the wedding wasn't over the top or insane. You know, it was just low stress, just knowing like what's the purpose of them coming together in their union.
Yeah. There's all kinds of stats about like the expense of the ring and the wedding and the higher divorce rates and stuff.
But like, I kid you not, when she was dating, it was like, oh, she's going on another date, going on another date. And I was like, you're really committed to this. And she was like, yeah. And I'm like, man.
So I'm assuming she's a Christian.
She is.
What were all her Christian friends saying about her? Because sometimes in the church, dating like that is what are you doing?
She had to kind of defend herself. Like, she's not doing anything inappropriate, you know, just going, meeting these people. And if it worked, great. If it didn't, she knew, like, on to the next. Which is encouraging to me because I've done it differently from her. Mm-hmm. I've just done where if I'm online dating, I'll like cipher through the guys just through messaging. Like, sure, maybe we might link or match or whatever, but then in the messaging, I can tell like yes or no. And then it's like when I'm like, ooh, yes, then I go on the date and I usually like the person.
And then when you like the person, you usually
then I cut off all the other ones. And then I cut everybody else off, and then they get all my attention, and then it's just not good.
So that's a different process. All right, so I'm gonna make a statement.
Help me, Eric.
I'm gonna make a statement on the purpose of dating, and then we're gonna talk about it.
Okay.
So here's my statement: the purpose of dating should not be marriage. That's my statement. Now listen, before you start fighting me. I think marriage can be an outcome of dating. Okay. And often is. And I would hope you don't, well, there's arranged marriages that work out, but I'm not going that route. So I would hope that before getting married, you do a dating process.
Yeah.
But I think if our sole purpose in dating is only marriage, I think that we are setting ourselves up for failure. We're creating expectations, too high expectations. I have lots of thoughts on how we should view it instead. But what are your thoughts when you hear me say the purpose of dating is not marriage? What do you think?
I can see where there's some validity to that because no, I can't. I can't. I can't. I can't see it at all. Like, I'm not going to date somebody if I'm not going to potentially marry them.
Why not?
Why? I have girlfriends. Well, I'll just go hang out with my girlfriends. Go on dates with my girlfriends.
So let me let's present it in another way.
I did think
that. Yeah, you were trying. I like that you were like, okay, yeah, this makes sense. Let's go with this. But then you couldn't. So I like it. But so I would say and this is not a perfect analogy, but it can just help us rethink it again. That would be like somebody. Do you watch football at all?
Yeah. Okay. I just went to my first Cowboys game. It was absolutely amazing.
Okay, perfect. So to me, somebody saying I am only dating for marriage would be akin to a football player saying, I don't want to practice, no regular season. I only play in the Super Bowl. That's the only time I'm going to put my skills out on the field is in the Super Bowl. Forget junior high, high school, forget the weight room, forget all the regular season and preseason. Like, I'm only playing for Super Bowls. So if you got a Super Bowl, if you're going to call me for the Super Bowl, I'm in. If you're going to try to call me for like Saturday afternoon, we're running lines at the football field, I'm out. I only do Super Bowl. That to me is, and that's not a perfect analogy.
It's really not.
But it feels a little bit like that.
No.
No?
No.
Okay, so
respectfully.
Okay. Like, you don't have to be respectful. This is perfect. So then let me pose another question.
Okay, let me talk on that though for a second.
Go ahead.
Because what I just heard you say was a football player is not going to go to practice, but he just wants a Super Bowl. So that's like, to me, I'm thinking if I'm going to practice, date.
Yeah.
It's because I'm dating for the Super Bowl.
Sure.
And unfortunately, in my case and many other girls, we have been dating for our marriage, but we just haven't gotten it yet. That's why people still play football. And that's why people still go support teams that continue to lose, even though they're not making it to Super Bowls, because they believe in it. They hope for it. They want for it. They're like, we're going to get to the Super Bowl this year. And then it's a letdown when you don't. And that's how I feel every time I've gone on dates.
So speaking of Cowboys, your dating life is like Cowboys fans.
I mean, I'm not going to talk about the Cowboys negatively.
And then it's not.
I'm not going to talk about the Cowboys negatively, because what if my husband is a football player and I don't want to diss his team. So
okay, no, I can appreciate that. You don't want to put something out in the world, dissing who possibly could be your future husband.
I don't know, but we continue to hope for America's best team. So that's what I'm going to say. Just like girls can continue to hope that if you keep going on dates, sooner or later one will stick.
Okay. But the purpose is still marriage. So
the purpose is still to win the Super Bowl.
Okay. So how do you know if the goal, so then for you, then if my purpose of dating is marriage,
okay,
then every date I go on, I am quickly evaluating the person across the table from me as to whether I can marry them. Correct?
Yes. And then this is why the church likes to talk about dating in community and getting to know people within community. But then that can become so messy when you're all in community and everybody has eyes for somebody. And then when you start to have eyes for the same person, y'all.
Yeah. So what do you do?
It's a mess. It's hard. And it's literally, I don't know if it's worse than, because then there's like this vulnerability of like, we're all seeking the Lord together, right? And then it's like, but I'm also seeking him, so why are you seeking him? Like, we can all seek God together, but we don't want to seek the same man together.
So who gets him first?
Well, and that's the thing. And then it turns in, because the population is clearly higher women than men in the church. So then you have like 3, prospects of good men, and then there's like 20 women, and and then
where do these guys, the men in the church, where do they usually find their person though? Not in the church.
Not even there. And then they end up bringing another girl.
Right?
You're right. Then they bring a girl from outside and you're like, who's she?
That's what I'm telling you. That's why all the church idea of, hey ladies, be up here. And if you're up here and you're faithful and you're just serving God and doing your purpose, these church guys that are also here and in community, but then these church guys are going on dates and going to games and doing other stuff out in the world and finding.
I will say that, but I do know one cute little couple. They were just friends within the community, and then they ended up actually getting married, and it was cute.
Good.
It's good.
1 out of 50. So
I mean, yeah.
So back to if my sole purpose of, so here's the thing, whatever our purpose is, whatever reason we're doing something, will alter our perspective on that thing, right? Okay. For instance, if I'm getting married to, I don't know, increase my financial stability, and there's people who get married for money.
Wow, that's true.
If I'm doing it,
gold diggers.
Yeah, if I'm doing it for that. And then I think there's people that maybe not necessarily gold diggers, but in that essence, but
what somewhat. Are they then?
I think just people that like the idea of 2 incomes. So they're not necessarily going to quit working, but 2 incomes is better than 1. But let me say this first. So if the reason I'm getting married is for financial growth or stability, if the person I marry loses their job or we fall on hard financial times, the purpose for which I've gotten married is now gone. Yeah. What's my incentive? Same thing if my goal is to have a family and then we start running into infertility stuff, or if my goal is just companionship and this person makes me feel good about myself, then when the opposite is presented, man, this person's distant, they're not making me feel good, the reason for which I got married now disappears. So now back to dating.
Okay.
I was about to run. Well, I'll run there a little bit. And this is a stretch. So like when you think about abuse, the definition of abuse is that we are using something in a wrong way, in a way that causes harm. Mm-hmm. That's abuse, right?
Yeah.
Again, this is a stretch. So this is a tough part of putting stuff out there. So I would almost say dating solely for the purpose of marriage is an abuse of dating as what it was meant to be. Because here's what I would say, for someone who's dating only to be married, I would say the only person that really knows what they need and want in marriage from a marriage partner, the only person that could definitively answer that is somebody who has been married very happily, widowed, and they know. So someone who's been married and divorced does not know. They know what they don't want. Someone who's never been married has no idea what they really want. And so if we're dating solely for the purpose of marriage, you don't even know necessarily what you need. Do you?
Because you're trying to say, like, if it's a financial thing. Well,
I'm just saying you probably have a list of things that you desire in your marriage partner.
Yeah.
Okay, where have those come from, that list?
The characteristic traits of, like, the type of man I would want.
Okay, but where did you come up with that list of traits and stuff?
By people that I've met, my own characteristic traits, the things I possess myself.
Mm-hmm. So some things that maybe because you're a Christian, some things that the Bible would indicate would make your list, things that you just prefer and like, preferences. But then you also said a third thing in there, things that I've learned from people I've met.
Yeah.
Dating. You learn things that you like and don't like, need and don't need from dating.
For sure. Agreed.
So we need to be dating.
That's why, okay. But that's also why football players go to practice and they try every year and they learn new plays and they're like, well, that play didn't work, so we got to try a different play.
Yeah.
So like, well, this didn't work on that first date, so maybe the next date I should.
But what happens with a lot of people
What?
who are dating specifically for marriage, because I've talked to a lot of them.
Okay, tell me.
They write somebody off halfway through the first date with that person.
Well, if they're not attracted to them.
Can attraction grow?
That whole conversation to me is.
It's a different show.
It is. It really is. It has to be because.
Okay. Have you ever known anybody? Well, you just said there was some couple that started out as friends and then attraction grew over time.
Yeah.
So I think chemistry can be there initially, and we can do a different show on this.
Yeah.
And I think it can grow over time.
I agree.
But a lot of people who have already decided they know what they want in a future marriage partner, have that list, have that perspective, are going out on dates and writing people off first date. Now, I'm not saying don't write somebody off this like unhealthy, dysfunctional, toxic, treating you like crap. But we all have off nights.
Well, that's why you go on date 2.
Okay. But I know a lot of people that write off on date 1 because like I could never be married to them.
Well, then they write them off. And well, then they write
How do they
them off.
know?
But who? And then guess what? They write them off.
Yeah, but how did they know?
I guess they didn't. Or they do. I don't know.
All right. So I got 4, since I said the purpose of dating is not marriage.
Not marriage.
Let me give you 4 other ways to maybe view dating. Just the hope is that we would open our minds a little.
Open my mind.
To the dating process.
Okay. It's clearly closed.
So let me give you some. Give you some. All right. So one is, and this is pretty obvious, one is you can view it as an opportunity to learn about others.
Okay.
So I'm going out on a date and it's fun to learn about other people.
Okay.
So you may learn something from somebody.
Yeah.
For instance, tell me that. I'll ask you this question. Have you ever gone on a date with somebody?
Okay.
Or maybe a few dates with them, dated them for a little while or had interactions, and you discovered a quality that they had that you in your mind was like, man, I really like that. That is definitely something I want in my husband one day.
Yeah.
But you're not my husband. Like you knew they weren't the one.
Oh, yeah. No.
But they had a specific quality or something that you were like, that is what I want.
Oh, yeah. It's called Build a Man.
Build a Man. Okay. Tell me about it. I'm not aware of this.
It's not.
Build a Bear, I know, because I had $3.
Build a Man. You literally meet different men and you're like, ooh, I like this. I like this. I like this. To the point where like you have this list of what you look for. And essentially, I don't know if the list ever gets completely.
So you may not be able to build a man, but you may discover something in the dating process about a person who's not your person.
Yes.
That you go, that is something that I need in a relationship that you may not even be aware of.
That's true.
And if you don't date, or so for instance, do you have a minimum height requirement for someone who would be your husband?
I used to. I've like let it slide a little bit.
So 5'5" guy you're good with?
Oh, well.
How far have we let it slip? No offense to 5'5" guys. I mean, you are what you are. But most women want a guy their height or taller. They want a guy.
So I heard a really great thing about that, actually.
Okay.
So something I heard was if you want a man that's taller than you or like muscular, it's actually because of your own physical insecurities. Like, because you don't feel comfortable with who you are in your body size, you feel like you need somebody a different size than you so that you then don't feel like you're compensating in that area. Like men, you know, if they are shorter in height, they want a woman who's shorter. They wouldn't even want a woman.
I like you were like, you said shorter.
Taller, because that might be an insecurity for them. But a man who's confident in his physique, his stature, then he's fine to date a 5'8" woman if he's 5'5", you know, because he feels confident in himself. And that's pretty cool. You know, like I think that is really sweet. And I've seen couples like that. I actually know some couples that the woman is taller than the man and the man is amazing. Like he loves her dearly, you know? So that's where I'm like, let's go to the Bible. You know, they say even Jesus wasn't like a super tall man, you know, like when we think about even King David, he was looked over for being so small, right? So I feel like the height thing.
I feel like you're over spiritualizing this.
Maybe I am.
Do you have a height requirement?
I don't.
Would you have a hard time if they were significantly shorter than you?
Significantly shorter than me? I mean,
it's okay to say yes. Like I say, here is where it's hard to navigate our spiritual life with our relationship, right? Because we can discount stuff, but that's a reality. We have to
look at the heart too.
Absolutely.
And that's where you're right. That's when the Bible does come in, because the Lord doesn't look at the physical. He looks at the heart. And maybe that's where some of us girls have gotten it wrong. We've been so focused on what we see physically that we are missing really good guys because we're not looking at their heart.
Maybe. So anyway, my point being,
I don't know, Eric.
But again, to somebody whose purpose of if the purpose of dating for me is marriage,
okay,
and I've already decided that I will not marry a guy 5'7" or shorter, then if I meet a guy that's 5'7", I'll never go on a date with him. But what I may miss out on is I go on a date with a 5'7" guy, and I may not marry him because ultimately I want somebody taller, but we engage in maybe an intellectual or spiritual conversation at a depth I've never had with 6'2" guy. Because again, 6'2" guy probably doesn't have to try as hard as 5'7" guy in a relationship. And so what happens is I may never realize there's a quality that I really want in a husband because I wouldn't go out with 5'7" guy because I'll never marry 5'7" guy. So anyway, I think it's an opportunity to learn about others. Another view, it's an opportunity to learn about yourself. So I think a lot of us don't know. You go on dates with different guys, and this is where you need a community because different guys will make you feel different ways.
Yeah.
And I think you need to come home and process that with a friend. Like, I don't know why, but with this guy, I was super horny. Yeah. And I normally am. Or with this guy was triggering me a whole bunch. And like different, I don't know what was going on. Or this guy made me feel like I shared so much with him in the first date that I like swear I'm not going to share with people.
Yeah.
What made me open up? And so I think dating is a chance to learn about yourself. That's and you true. Can't do that unless you date different people. Here's another one. I think it's a way to develop the reason I'm laughing is it's a way to develop relational skills. This goes back to the football analogy. If you're not practicing relational skills and God brings you the one, what makes you think you have the relationship skills to make a relationship work with that person? So you do have to practice some of the skills. The reason I'm laughing is there's the new AI dating app Blush that's like a fake, but it's supposed to help you with skills. But we can do another show on that because that thing was a mess. So
now we're dating robots.
That's 3 ways. And the 4th one I'm going to give you is, I think from a Christian's perspective, it could be an opportunity to serve others. So what if you're not solely there for you, but the way that you treat somebody on a date with dignity and value, who has never been treated that way. You may not be their spouse and they're not your spouse, but that person leaves a date with you going, my gosh, like this is what I deserve.
Yeah.
And that's not about you getting married. That's maybe about you serving and loving others.
Yeah.
So I just think we need to open our minds a little bit. And I also think it takes the pressure off it. Like I can have a date, and if it wasn't the greatest person in the world, I may go out on a date with him again, even though I don't think I would marry him, because it could be a good friendship, or I could be learning stuff.
And I think too, then that would require some conversation, because I think some men, they have a purpose for dating too.
Sure.
And they're not going to go spend their money on somebody who, if there's not going to be an outcome for them.
Well, so they're spending money to get laid, right?
I mean...
So then maybe we need to dial back dating.
Honestly,
quit spending $200 on a date. Like, let's go get coffee. That cost me $12 if I buy your drink.
Or on the flip side, I'm having this really weird epiphany right now. Maybe guys won't spend their money on girls when they already know if they're not going to have sex.
Mm-hmm. And maybe they shouldn't be spending so much money on a first date.
Or maybe they shouldn't just be spending any time with them at all.
We've made a big jump, but
okay, maybe I'm a little hurt.
so let's land the plane. We'll land the plane. So I believe the purpose of dating should not primarily be marriage.
Okay.
Is that an outcome? Do we need to date to marry? Yes, I believe so. But I believe we can take some of the pressure off dating by saying, we're just getting to know people. I'm getting to know myself. I'm building relationship skills. I'm serving others. And so, well, let me define. When I say dating, we're not talking about hooking up with people. No. I'm talking about going out on dates to get to know people. I'm not kissing on them, not having sex with them. I'm not doing all that stuff. I'm just getting to know people. And maybe we need to change the name from dating to building intentional friendships or something. Because your date might turn out, might turn out to be your best friend's future spouse if we're dating in community.
No, I think I completely agree with that. I do. I just don't know the dating pool in church, because I could see that type of community being formed. Mm-hmm. I think back to the show sitcom Friends, you know, like Monica, Phoebe, Rachel, and then Joey, Chandler, and Ross. You know, like Ross and Monica are brother and sister. And then because Ross and Monica are brother and sister, you know, Chandler ends up getting to meet Monica. And because Monica's friends with Rachel, she ends up getting to marry Ross, right? Like, and then of course Phoebe and Joey are just kind of out there. But I just think that you can meet people through different communities, through different organizations. Like I know some girls from college that we were all in this group together, and they ended up like three sisters. Like one married the brother, the other one married the other brother, and the other one married the other brother. It's like now they're all like literally family. It's just crazy.
That's a little weird, but yeah.
Because like cool. This sister had a brother and then a girl married. And then this sister had a brother and then this girl married. It was just crazy.
Which is why I think we need to date in community, because the collective can introduce us to more people we may never bump into ourselves.
That is true. And that's a more organic type way.
And if we're not hooking up with these people, then it's not going to be weird. Now it's weird if I hook up with so-and-so and then they end up dating my friend. And then it's like, well, we've already like, come on, man. That's bad. Which is why we've got to back off that. So that's my conclusion. The primary purpose of dating should not be marriage. You may agree, you may disagree. I think you made some good points. I made some analogies. Some were bad. Some were okay.
It's okay.
But I think we need to take some of the pressure off dating in order to do it in a better and more healthy way.
I think the pressure could be relieved, you know, or just going in to say, hey, I'm having a good time with you. Yeah. And if there's something forms, great. Are you interested in seeing where this could maybe go? Awesome. And if not, being okay to say, hey, let's part ways. I don't think this is going to be good for both of us.
And that's not going to hurt as much when we haven't gotten physical, when we haven't made commitments, when we haven't done a bunch of other stuff because we're building a friendship.
Exactly.
It's still going to hurt. Rejection hurts. That's part of dating. but not to the same
Not even rejection if you're both agreeing. It could just be like a letdown of like, man, that didn't work out again. It's like you had a practice or you had a game, you know, maybe it wasn't the Super Bowl, but you had a game you thought you practiced really hard. So it'd just be like, you know, you practice so much in that game, like practice for the game. And then maybe the game itself didn't end up winning, right? You didn't win in that game. So it's like, man, I was dating this girl or I was dating this guy and it was going really well. But then in the end, it's kind of like, it didn't win. So not so much or even rejection. I think it's just, it sucks when it doesn't work out. And I think that can be across anything. You go for the job interview. You think you're doing really good. And it's like, no. And unfortunately, it's just the letdown of like, man, I really thought that one was going to be a good one. So I think it's just part of life. But how you navigate it and how you respond is encouraging. But I do think if you don't know what the purpose of dating is, why are you doing it? If you go for a job interview, you're going to get a job. If you're going to practice for a NFL football game, it's because the goal is to win the Super Bowl. Like there's goals for why you're doing the things. And sometimes you work even harder when you know the outcome could be really, really good. So I think two people coming together though in dating need to recognize, hey, what is your purpose for dating? And if they're both not the same, then clearly they need to end, because I don't want somebody on my team. It's like, we're going for the Super Bowl. They're like, it's okay if we don't make it this year. Okay, you're cut. You're off because you're not going to give 100%.
Fair enough. Fair enough. I wouldn't argue with that at all. I just wanted to push back on people who are putting so much pressure on dating.
I agree.
That they're not experiencing some of what they should. And then there's a lot of people, again, waiting on God to bring them a one. And it's like, you're not developing healthy relationship skills because you never date anybody. And so when God brings you the one, what are you working with?
And Eric, maybe we do another show on this one, but I think dating could also just be like, start doing things that you enjoy doing. Like, what are the activities that you like to do? And then within those activities, maybe you just meet people.
Absolutely.
Through those activities. And then there's not even a stress of, was this a date? It's like, hey, I continuously go to this event every Friday because I like doing it. That guy continues to come too, or going to the gym, like going to those places that you like to do. You keep doing them, and then somebody else who likes to do it too, and then you'll have something in common.
That's good. That's actually something I talk about in the Dating Detox class that we're going to run pretty soon. But you got to get your numbers up. And so where do you go to get that? I think you brought a lot of those. So that's my premise. The purpose of dating primarily is not marriage. Autumnie is not fully in agreement with me. We're in agreement on some things. But anyway, if you have not already, we have an awesome free resource for you called the Modern Daters Playbook. You can grab that at datingdetoxshow.com. It's a free thing. Go ahead and download that. And we'll see you next time right here on the Dating Detox Show.